Warren Buffett releasing his annual letter to Berkshire Hathaway shareholders this weekend with a simple message: bet on the American economy, even if we have trillions of dollars in debt. Writing, those who regularly preach doom because of government budget deficits, as I regularly did myself for many years, might note that our country's national debt has increased roughly 400-fold during my last 71 years, period. That's 40,000%. To protect yourself, you might have eschewed stocks and opted instead to buy gold. And what would that supposed protection have delivered? You would now have an asset worth less than 1% of what would have been realized from a simple, unmanaged investment in American business. The magic metal is no magic. Much rather for the American metal. So don't worry about debt anymore. He's not the only one saying that. Buffett also went on, of course, to say that our country's prosperity has come at the hands of presidents on both political parties. And although he admits that he supports Democrats, he said, we've done well under both. Joining me now to discuss the Director of Policy for the Independent Women's Forum, Hadley Heath Manning, and founder of MaxFunds.com, Jonas Ferris. Hadley, I got to tell you, always a great letter from Warren Buffett, but that was the one that caught my attention most because it was only last year where there were headlines that Warren Buffett warning against the government debt levels. I don't know where he got this epiphany from, but do you share it?
Oh, I'm more of a traditionalist when it comes to debt. I understand the modern monetary theory as it relates to debt, which basically says it's okay to run with a debt or deficit so long as our economy has a good capacity to pay it back. And of course, debt always matters less when interest rates are low. But there is this traditional relationship between high, out-of-control debt and even growth rates. And we see a body of research that indicates that high, out-of-control government debt is still problematic, and it's something that we ought not be careless about.
But Jonas, you know what? We just had a report from the former chief economist at the IMF, Oliver Blanchard. He said that despite high debt levels in the United States, it shouldn't matter if the nation keeps borrowing money because its capacity to pay, it grows at a faster pace than interest rates or interest costs. I mean, this is a person, another purist, if you will, who railed against this debt levels and these deficits, now saying it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, he's not like saying take on more, but it is very interesting, actually, Charles, because, Buffett leans Democrat. So this would be his opportunity to slam the deficit and the growing deficit. That's what usually happens, and kind of be quiet about it when Democrats are in charge. He's actually essentially doing the opposite, because at the end of the day, the underlying U.S. economy, the U.S. business, is one that it is good to finance. Essentially, it is a fast-growing. Look at the numbers he's throwing out in this many all his letters, and he's basically saying it works, and you don't have to get too hung up about it. Don't be too doom and gloom. This is not the first time he's brought up how stupid gold is compared to owning stocks. Now, to be fair, if you read one of the top bond fund managers of the world, because essentially this guy's managing a stock portfolio, like the double lines, he'll always talk about the debt, because when you're lending money as a business, you're very concerned about inflation and getting paid back. When you buy equity in American businesses, inflation's a tailwind, if anything. So, as he said, the American economy is a tailwind in this letter. So, again, the way we borrow money, it works for America. That doesn't mean we should go out of control and just give away money and all this other stuff. But it's a country like China that's financing maybe speculative, business centrally planned things that's not going to work out in the long run. Although he's very favorable about foreign companies in this, too.
And speaking of politics, much has been made of President Trump. The 82-minute State of the Union. It did not once, President Trump didn't use the word debt or budget deficits. Of course, and when he was running, he said he was the king of debt. So I don't think it would be worrying him. And Mick Mulvaney saying it doesn't matter anymore as well. I mean, we used to talk about this a lot under President Obama. And, we always wondered where the cliff was, but we knew for sure we were going to hit that cliff. Do you think, then, that it's not possible we could ever go over the cliff?
Oh, I think the cliff's still there. I think there's a limit to this theory. I understand debt is a tool. It can be used by governments and by businesses for investment to finance projects, and certainly our economy is growing at a healthy clip right now. But that doesn't mean that there's no limit to the idea that we can borrow and borrow and borrow forever. So I agree with Jonas that it's usually fashionable for people of either party to only be concerned about the deficit or our growing national debt when they're out of power and they don't want to take responsibility for it. But it's certainly something that both parties seem to care less about when they are in power.
Yeah, it's just some of these apolitical times, like, the chief economist at IMF. I mean, there's a lot of folks who are just saying it doesn't matter anymore. And I'm kind of scratching my head thinking I'm going to have to go back to the drawing board myself. Hadley, Jonas, thank you both very much. Appreciate it.